be a sponge, and then bring the juice.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Edge of Greatness. I'm your host, Charles Schultz, and if you can't tell, I'm battling a little something today. I'm gonna work through it, but if I cough or I sneeze or I get a little wild and crazy, I do apologize. But I got a good message for you today. I'm excited to bring this one to you. I used to love this idea of like perfect habits and systems and routines and morning rituals and all of these things, but the older I get and the more chaotic my life becomes, the more I start to wonder, what is the real value of habit systems and routines? And I think it comes down to this. Do your habits, systems, and routines serve you? Do they make your life better? Or have you become hostage to them? Do they control you? If something happens in your day where you don't have the nice flow of every minute and things don't line up perfectly, does it ruin everything else? I used to have this perfect morning routine. I'd get up and I had everything lined up down to the minute of what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, when I was going to do it. And then I had my first kid. And then the morning never was the same. And for a while that really affected me. If something happened during my routine, during my morning, the rest of my day was just a struggle. And that's where I started to realize that it's not necessarily about the habit systems and routines, it's about how they make your life better. Maybe you're in the same boat. Here's three things that I've started to realize about the signs of whether we are in control or we are becoming hostage to our habits, systems, and routines. There are three things that stick out to me. The first is your morning is controlling you. The second is you struggle to adapt. And the third is change is really hard. Now, granted, number three, change is often really hard no matter what, but there's some other things that kind of play into that we'll talk about. But the first one here is really important. And I think this is especially true right now because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of gurus online that master your morning and master your life and all of this thing. And I do think that the way we control our morning matters, but too often the mood of our day is controlled by the morning that we have. And that's where the problem lies. Are you someone who, if your day starts with a little bit of a curveball right out the gate, like say, for example, I have three little kids and I wake up and I have a plan to get some meditation time, journal, and then work out. And then halfway through my morning, my kid wakes up screaming because they're not feeling well and they need me. Now, all of a sudden, that routine is gone, right? If your morning plan doesn't go exactly as you have it set, do you have a terrible day? This is a prime sign that you are now becoming hostage to your habit systems and routines. When one little thing in the morning throws everything else off. Let's say, for example, you're on your way to get your morning coffee and the road to your coffee place is closed. Do you freak out? Do you start to panic and lose all control of what do I do next? Where do I go? I don't understand. And that leads into point number two. We struggle to adapt. We have this inability to handle the curveballs of life. We see this in this image. This is great because there's a maze, which means there's going to be dead ends. There's going to be times where you have to turn around and go a new way. You're going to constantly be battling which direction to go. And our ability to adapt to the habit systems and routines that we've created and having contingencies in place will ultimately allow our systems, habits, and routines to serve us. The third part of this is that change is really hard. And like I mentioned before, change is hard. It's not an easy thing to handle. I don't know many people who absolutely love change, especially when it's like chaotic change. But the truth is we can't stop change. Just like the seasons are going to change, life is going to change, our situations and our position in places and things that we're dealing with are going to change, but does it freak you out? Or can you handle it? Do you adapt from it? Do you learn through it? All of this right here leads to this awareness that the habits, systems, and routines that we have aren't doing what they're supposed to. They're not serving you. They're not making your life easier. They're not making your life better. So, what I've tried to do is create ways to take back control of your habits. There's three things that we can do, and they're going to line up with what we just talked about as far as the losing control. Let's gain that control back. So, the three ways to get back into having control of our habits. The first thing is this: own your morning, not your routine. I'm going to say that again. Own your morning, not your routine. What do you need to get done in order to have the day that you want? There's usually a few things that are going to happen in the morning that you have to do that are part of just getting your mind, body, and just soul ready to compete for the day. I need to get up. I need to take my vitamins. I need to stretch. I need to get my coffee. I need to have a healthy breakfast. And I like to get outside. Those are parts of the thing that I like to get done. Now, the nice thing is none of those are time constraints, right? I can do those at any given moment in my morning. So if something does come up, I have multiple routines. I'm also somebody that, as the season changes here in Ohio, I adjust my morning routine. During the winter, I won't work out in the morning. It's freezing cold. I'm in a garage. I don't have heat out there yet. I just moved to this new house. It's frigid. Now it's not much warmer in the afternoon, but at least the sun's kind of out. But now that summer's coming around, we're getting into spring, we're getting closer to summer, I'll work out in the morning. So I have multiple morning routines, and that allows for me to have control of my morning. I'm no longer a slave to the habits that I've created. I am now in control of what I choose to do next. The other part of this is learning to adapt. Having plan B, C, D, E, however many you need. The more options you have, the more directions you can go, the less a curveball or a chaotic moment messes up the rest of your day. I mentioned a couple times in different shows that, my kids get sick, and that's part of life. And the other day, my son was on the bus, and, on his way to school, he decided to get car sick and puke all over himself. And so at 9:30 in the morning, all of a sudden I'm getting a call that is interrupting my normal flow of work, that is interrupting my normal responsibilities, and now I have to go take care of this. But I have contingencies in place of what do I do if this happens? How do I handle this situation? Where can I put things later to make up for this? And this is the time blocking thing that I'm working on to allow myself to get things done. Part of this adaptation is also minimizing the amount of things that I'm trying to do every day. I only do 3 things a day. I have 3 main things that I focus on. Those are my priority tasks. This is one of them today. So I'm already crossing one off. But by minimizing the number of things that I have to do, it gives me room to adjust things if something comes up. I can fit a workout, which is one of my 3 tasks today, into a different time block if something comes up and blocks the initial time that I have. And so what I've learned to do is I have a block in the morning, a block in the afternoon, and a block in the evening for each of my 3 things. There are 3 blocks that I have for each task. Normally, I try to get it knocked out in the first 2, but if something really crazy happens, I still have a 3rd block available. This gives me the ability to adjust, to adapt, to overcome the obstacles that are happening in the world around me, and it makes it easier for me to change things. And that's number 3. Become a master of change. understand how habits work, understand how consistency works, understand the premise of aim small, miss small. We talked about that recently where, aiming at small targets leads to big outcomes. And this is so true that if we have small, tiny tasks, change doesn't seem as great. If we have a huge project that we're working on and it's all due now, and we didn't break it down, and something happens that changes our workflow, it seems massive. But if I'm only working on a small part of the project and something needs to be changed, it's a much smaller adaptation. We don't have to worry about all of the different things that are going on because it's just a small shift. The other piece of this is understanding how the habits are formed, how we have triggers that cause habits to loop, right? What are those triggers? Do you know what causes you to act a certain way? The better you understand how your habits work, the better you understand how your habits are triggered, the easier it is to change those habits later. A lot of times, changing a habit is something as simple as changing what starts it. Don't try to change the habit, change what triggers the habit. If you are somebody who, every time you sit down to eat, or every time you sit down to watch television, you choose to eat and you want to lose weight, sit somewhere else. That's a simple way of changing the trigger is you're not in your chair that you typically sit in, hit the recline and start munching on food. Changing locations can change the habit. It's a very small shift, but it makes a big difference when it comes to breaking a loop. The same is true for a lot of the other things in our life. We usually have a simple trigger that causes the habit. So understand those things and we become masters of the change. All of this to say, I love routines, habits, and systems. I think they are a valuable tool. But we have to make sure that they are serving us, that they are in our benefit, and that we aren't slaves to them. If you have found that you are living in part one of this episode, where if something goes wrong in the morning, your day is shot, you don't adapt well when things go crazy, and change is hard, start looking for ways to optimize that by moving into that bottom half where we own the morning, not the routine. We have the ability to adapt because we have plans, we have contingencies, and we understand how these changes take place. We are now a master of this change. We are going to take a look at the role of habits, systems, and routines and how they play into creating success within our pillars right after this commercial break.
1 week after launching our exclusive sneak peek, NGBN TV was live for 3 days of continuous coverage from Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
NGBN TV is live from Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
The one-of-a-kind streaming TV network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s was the conversation for the big game about men's mental health. In the world of athletes, celebrities, and influencers, we're on notice. But we're just getting started with new partnerships announced like the Team Nike 3-on-3 Championship and new platforms available to download the NGBN TV app. So, what are you waiting for? Download the app today from your favorite streaming device or check us out at ngbn.tv. This is NGBN TV.
Hello and welcome back to The Edge of Greatness. This is Beyond the Pillars, and today we're going to dive into what role do habits, systems, and routines play in creating greatness? The first question is, again, let's go back. Do they serve you? They should do 4 things. When you create really good habits, systems, and routines, they should do 4 things. This is their role. Ready? They create consistency. They help with discipline. They encourage commitment. And then they assist with resilience. When we have the right habits, the right systems, the right routines in place, those 4 things become significantly easier. And if you noticed, 3 of those things are pillars. So by having these things locked down, you improve 3 of your pillars. We're going to talk about consistency first because it's not technically one of the pillars, but we all know that consistency matters. It helps us show up on a regular basis, right? That consistency, the ability to do work regularly. And good habits, good routines, good systems create consistency. They make life easier, which makes it easier to show up. But too often, when we miss something or we get disrupted, it leads to inconsistency. And that's where having these systems and these routines work together in different time blocks and have the ability to adapt still allows us to be consistent. One of the big things for my consistency was having small targets and having multiple blocks. When I was writing my books, I had a target of 100 words a day. 100 words is super easy. I've mentioned it several times now. I could probably write 100 words right now in about a minute. There's no reason for me not to show up. However, the systems and the habits lead to this routine that I show up and I write my 100 words. And the consistency is created through these different blocks. So if chaos happens, I can show up at any given moment and still get my X for the day. The next piece of this is the discipline part. And they kind of work together. Consistency and discipline are very similar in this arena. But discipline is our ability to show up and get things done regularly, whether we want to or not. It's part of our ingrained nature to do the work that's required. But having those good systems, habits, routines, makes discipline significantly easier. It's so much easier to be disciplined when there's a loop attached to a habit, right? And we understand how that trigger works. All we have to do then is start the loop, and then we're going to be disciplined and show up and do the work. We can create better control of our discipline by simplifying our habit systems and routines. The next piece of this is commitment. And this is a cool part about creating these habits, creating these systems, having these routines, is that when you center them around something that you're committed to, it's easier to own them. And another question that I like to ask that often comes up when I'm thinking about habit systems and routines and I'm trying to build this life is, how does the person I want to become act? What systems, what habits, what routines do they have? How do they operate? What do I need to do in my life to become more like them? When you start to look at your routines, your habits, your systems from the perspective of the person you want to become, now we're starting to build these things in place towards a future self that we want to be. It's so much easier to act on these things then, because this is a journey to where I'm going, to who I'm going to become. There's excitement around this new adventure that we're creating. And that perspective of I'm going to be this person someday fuels me to show up and then to be disciplined, to be consistent, and to continuously develop and evolve my habit systems and routines. The last part of this, the final piece, is resilience. Good habits, systems, and routines have built-in contingencies, right? We talked about having plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E. Those are built-in resilience plans. Those are how we bounce back when something goes wrong. It's not always just a chaotic event that happens in our life. Sometimes it's an adverse event, like somebody is sick, somebody dies, we lose our job, we don't have the money to pay our bills. That adversity affects our habit systems and routines. And having contingencies in place for how we handle our different adversities allows us to continue on the path of, who do I want to become? Where do I want to go? Who do I see myself being in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And how does that person act? As you can see, habit systems and routines play a big part in the pillars of becoming great. There's a lot of connectiveness here. And this again plays into that holistic approach of how we attack our life, how we pursue greatness. All of the things that happen around us have a little bit of connection to it. They have a little bit of something that's pulling from multiple pillars. And the better we become at connecting those pillars together and fortifying them, it's like the mortar between bricks. the stronger that is, the more that wall holds together. If it's loose and it's falling apart, it's old, it's easy to knock a brick out. And if you knock a brick out, the wall becomes weaker, right? We need it to work together. We need it to hold strong. We need it to be consistently a part of who we are. Let's build those pillars together. One of the ways you can start to build your pillars is to go check out Go Primal Lifestyle and Fitness Apparel. This is amazing apparel with a beautiful message about being your best for those who need you the most. Go check it out today. Use promo code EDGE10 at checkout. Save yourself 10%. And I think you're going to love what he's offering. And again, check out his show. Chris Fontana has a beautiful show. It's a brilliant show. It's a lot about similar to what we're doing, and it's part of our Sunday lineup. So, it's definitely something you should check out. But we're going to talk a little bit more about A World of Greatness after this short commercial break.
What's up, everyone? This is Chris Fontana, founder of Go Primal Lifestyle and Fitness Apparel and host of the Primal Mindset Show on NGBN TV. Coming to you from Long Island, New York, with the transformative show that shares inspiring stories of overcoming adversity and embracing personal growth. Hosted by me, who has triumphed over immense challenges, including addiction, mental health struggles, and significant weight loss. This show features conversations with individuals who have conquered their own obstacles. Through heartfelt discussions, the Primal Mindset offers hope, guidance, and inspiration to listeners, encouraging them to persevere and never settle. Join us on this empowering journey of resilience and transformation as we share the stories of incredible individuals who have embraced the power of the Primal Mindset. Join us on NGBN TV.
Hello and welcome back to the Edge of Greatness. I've got a great World of Greatness segment for you today. Spring is awesome. I love spring. It's one of my favorite times of year because as a baseball player, it just reminds me of my youth. It reminds me of my college experience. It reminds me of summer is coming, and there's not much better, in my opinion, than being out in the sun, on the dirt, smelling the grass, the sound of the leather hitting the wood, and just the roar of the crowd. And with baseball season upon us, I want to bring awareness to something special, the Savannah Bananas. I don't know if you're familiar with who they are, but they are a baseball circus to an extent. They are taking baseball, a sport that has been around forever, and they are applying their own unique special spin on it. They're making it exciting. They're bringing in the fans. They are a production of just incredible choreography and joy. And it's just such a unique and fun way to experience baseball. I think it's going to be part of the reason why baseball starts to see a resurgence in youth players wanting to play. They're making it fun again. They're making it about just being outside in summer, dancing, laughing, telling jokes, having skits, just playing the game with pure joy. I highly recommend you go check them out. The Savannah Bananas are doing a world tour. They're going all over the country. They're playing their banana ball. And part of this is they do these little skits. And if you haven't had a chance yet, go and search Savannah Bananas Dirty Dancing. They do this whole thing where they do the scene from Dirty Dancing. And at the end, the pitcher runs out to the mound from home plate and the catcher lifts him up over his head and they do the lockout. And it's just a fun time. And as you can see, I mean, it makes me smile just thinking about it, but they have a whole bunch of fun little skits. They have a fun dance party all the time. They're doing tricks, doing backflips, catching fly balls. But this is what greatness is. It's taking something that's been around forever and applying your uniqueness to it. It doesn't mean you have to create a whole new thing. It's something as simple as, how can I make something better? How can I bring a unique perspective to something? You can create greatness in a variety of ways. It doesn't have to be by being the elite performer at the Olympics or the best basketball player in the world or any of these things that we all normally attach greatness to. Greatness could be being the best parent on the block. Greatness could be striving to be the best version of yourself on a daily basis, which means you're going to work out harder than everybody else. You're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to adapt. How are you pursuing greatness? How are you trying to live your life to excellence? And I think that's what the Bananas are doing, and they're having a good time doing it. So go check them out. As we close today's episode, I do want to remind everybody that we are closing in on our Equip Yourself to Save a Life event on April 6th. I've got a short message for you today that I want you to check out. Go ahead and take a listen to this.
Hello, my name is Craig Hannum. I'm with NGBN TV on April 6th. We'll be conducting 2 live broadcasts back-to-back, 9 to 11 Eastern, 9 to 11 Pacific. It's called Equip Ourselves to Save a Life. Let's end suicide in North America. I'm inviting you to join us. I will teach you the subtle indicators on how to prevent suicide. You don't want to miss this. It's unprecedented. It's never happened before. No network has ever tried this, and we're going to do it. We're going to end suicide. So please join me. It's 100% free to register. I'll see you there.
I believe this event is going to do a lot of good. I think it's something that you need to check out. ngbn.tv/save a life. Go sign up today. 100% free. Bring your friends, bring your family, invite your coworkers. Come make it a party. Let's join, let's learn, let's grow, let's help save lives. Thank you so much for taking time to join me today. It's always a pleasure to get a chance to talk to you and to share some of my experiences. I hope that you took something away from this episode. I think we talk about habits, systems, routines a lot as being the key, but too often we let that key control us. Let's take back control of that key. Today is all about how do we become in control of those habits? How do we let those curveballs go? And how do we have control of our life again? So if you're looking for a way to connect with me, you can find me on any of my social platforms. I'm on X, Instagram. There's my website. Shoot me an email, charles@theedgeofgreatnessproject.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'm still looking for a handful of sponsors to take over segments or to have commercials within the show. As you can see, we have a few openings there. But I would love to talk with you about how we can work together to bring light to what you're doing and then also help support what I'm doing over here. That's the only way we can continue to grow this thing and keep it moving forward. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. As always, keep reaching for the stars. Remember, whenever we fall, always get up.